Hello everyone, Lloyd Rieber here with a short video about doing Q-sorts online. Now let me begin by saying that I think the best way to do a Q-sort is with print-based materials, and that's kind of a hard thing for me to say given that I've developed my own online tool called Lloyd's Q-sort tool. But there's a lot of interest in doing Q-sorts online. I think the pandemic forced a lot of Q researchers to abandon print-based formats in lieu of online. So how best to do it? Now, as much as I love my app, it's really not the best tool, I think, for Q researchers. It's really meant for Q pedagogy, which I won't go into here. The trouble is you have to download my app and install it on a computer, and participants are not going to want to do that. So what participants want is a link to go to. They click a link and they go to the Q-sort. There's a lot of tools out there. The best one that I know of that is also free is one called Easy WebSort by Shawn Banasick. And Shawn has done just a tremendous job of providing free resources. The purpose of this video is not to do a tutorial of how to launch this tool of his. It's really more inspirational in order to convince you that yes, you can do it. Again, Shawn has done a tremendous job, but it's a little daunting when you first take a look at it, like how do I actually put all this together, especially if you're not, technically oriented. And you don't have to be technically oriented to do this, but you really have to be patient and take your time. So what I'm going to do is give a nice little overview of the steps. I'm not going to go over every single step, but I kind of want to get you started so you can actually kind of see how to begin to set this up, and then you can follow Shawn's directions from there. I think the first place to start is with a very short demonstration of how his tool, Easy WebSort, actually works. So let's do that now. Okay, this is a very fast demonstration of EQ WebSort by Shawn Banasick, just to give you a quick idea of how it works. So as you can see, the first page is a nice welcome page, and you can revise this and set it up any way you'd like to. So this is obviously an example of the role of alternative medicine and healthcare in the USA. All right, so I will now continue, and it goes right to the pre-sort with nice directions right there. And I'm going to do this really fast, so don't pretend like I am actually reading these. Okay, as you can see, the preliminary sorting is complete. And I'm just using the continue button to move on. And now comes the actual sort itself. So here we go. And you can see the entire grid is right here in front of me, and all of the statements are down below in the order of the pre-sort. So this is quite nice. I see the statements all at one time. And again, I'm going to do this very fast just to demonstrate it, but obviously we should be reading very carefully as we go. So here we go. I'm just going to complete the sort. And as you can see, the statements start to dwindle down below. I'm going to go now to the least degree or most disagree is what I have this set up to. So it's a pretty nice sorting approach here, I think. I like the fact that all the statements are on the page all at the same time. Even though I can't read all the statements, I do have the scroll bar, as you saw, so I can actually browse all the statements as I wish to. And I believe I can move these around as I wish. And again, I have to be mindful of the number of statements per column. I believe, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it will prompt me if I put too many statements in one column. All right, let me go ahead and continue. And yeah, so now I have the opportunity to add statements. Now I can choose the configuration of how I want to ask these questions, but as you can see, it actually gives me the statement that I put in the most degree, and I also have the statements of the ones on the most disagree. All right, so again, I'll be very quick here just to add a quick statement. Okay, moving on. And you have the opportunity to ask some questions at the end, obviously some demographic information. This comes at the end, so I'll go ahead and do that. And I'll actually just say no to this. But the main point here is that I can set up a survey and I can add as many questions as I want. Okay, ready to submit. I'm going to submit the data. And there we have it. So that's my quick demo of EQ WebSort by Shawn Banasick. Okay, the first step always when you undertake a new project is to get organized. So I have made a folder on my desktop, as you can see, called EQ WebSort Projects. What I'm going to do now is put a new folder in there for my first project. I'm going to call this one Alternative Medicine Project. And of course, I may have lots of projects that I'm going to use EQ WebSort for, but this is just going to contain my one project. Inside of that, I'm going to make another folder, and I'm going to title that Alternative Medicine Files for EQ WebSort. As you will see, we're going to be downloading some files, and we have to know where to put them. So that's where I'm going to put those EQ WebSort files. All right. Next, let's go ahead and get those files. I'm going to go ahead and go to Shawn Banasick's wonderful web page all about this EQ WebSort project. All right, well, the first thing we need to do is go to Shawn Banasick's EQ WebSort web page, and this is all on GitHub. So just go to this page and then just scroll down, and you'll see that it starts off with a little explanation of EQ WebSort, what it is. But interestingly, we're going to go to the second paragraph where that says use the EQ WebSort configurator to set up an EQ WebSort online project. So you would go to this home page, and this is going to be another app that Shawn has made that is going to make this whole process so much easier. So go to this second page, and as you can see, you just choose the download link that matches your particular computer. Now I've already done that, so what I'm going to do next is launch EQ WebSort configurator. Okay, so here we are. Again, this is a separate app. This is not a website. You have to install this app and then you launch it. And as you can see on the left-hand side, we have a nice menu of things that we are going to follow, starting with step number 1, server. Now, we can go into expert mode, but I'm going to recommend you just stay in novice mode. So let's go and click on server. And this is how Shawn has set everything up. And it just has a nice page of directions that you follow step by step by step. And every single one of the menu pages are going to follow the very same organization. So you have to go slow, and you really just have to read. All right, let's start by taking a look at this idea of testing server startup. And the first couple of sentences tell you exactly what to do. So we're going to set up the default EQ WebSort files on your machine for development. We're going to put those files in that folder that I created. Once the default files are ready, you can start the web server and view your changes as you make them. And as you'll see, Shawn makes it very easy to start a web server. So it says the first step is to download the base files for EQ WebSort and save them to an accessible place on your computer. We already have that ready to go. So to download, go to the EQ WebSort homepage and click the download link. And here's the figure 1 that will help us know if we got to the right place. But I'm going to click on that link, and this just sends us back to the exact same place that we were before. Now let me expand this out a little bit. Yeah, this is the same page we were on to begin with. You might recall, we came down here to the EQ Web Configurator. But what we're going to do is click here to download these files. So I'm going to click version 2.0 download link. And you can see down below it has downloaded a zip file. In fact, I was playing around, so this is the second time I've done it. So I'm going to go and get that zip file and put it into the folder that I created for my alternative medicine project. Okay, well, here is my download folder with all kinds of things that I've downloaded over the last few weeks. But here you can see the EQ WebSort version 200.zip. And over here, recall that I have this folder that I made for the EQ WebSort file. So I'm just going to open up that folder. I'm going to drag this zip file into there, and I'm going to double click on the zip file so that it opens up all of these files that I'm going to be using in just a second. And I can go ahead and get rid of the zip file now. All right, well, let's get started with, let's go back to the configurator. All right, so we did all that, and again, the files will be in a compressed format, so don't forget to decompress them on your computer, which we did just by double clicking on them. And yeah, so we have all these files that are going to be used and needed for the web-based QSort. And as you can see, and then we're just going to follow the directions here. In this uncompressed folder, you will see an index.html. And again, Shawn is pointing it out to us. And a folder called settings, and he's pointing that one out to us. And so inside the settings folder are going to be some XML configuration files. You don't need to know anything about XML. We just need to know where these files are. And they're going to be, well, like it says, containing your project's information. And the Firebase configuration file. Firebase is going to be where our database is going to be located on Google. All right, yeah, as it says, it's a free online database. All right, so we're just going to keep going down. So to get started with editing the files, you need to start the local web server built into this software. So we don't have to do anything special. It's already built into the configurator. What you need to do is navigate to that folder that has the index.html file in it. So let's go ahead, and again, this is hot. This is a button. I'm going to click on this. And I'm going to find that particular folder that I had a moment ago. And it's, again, unzipped is EQ WebSort version 2.0.0. All right, I've opened up that particular folder. I see the index.html. It's dimmed, but that's okay. I'm going to click open. All right, so it has told the web server that's built into the configurator where that file is located, where that whole folder is. And now just going down, again, all kind of directions. Shawn has done a great job. Okay, so now we can copy the localhost address below and paste it into my web browser's address bar. This is kind of like magic, but it really will work. So you can type it in directly, http://localhost:9990, or we can just copy that to the clipboard. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, let's now open up a web browser. I'm going to paste in that particular URL. Okay, so I open up a new web browser window. I'm going to go up here and paste that URL in for this local host. Press return. And what do you know? We have a university research project, EQ WebSort Demo Project, iPad use in the classroom. Thank you for helping with this research project. So this is the demo that Shawn has provided in his files. And we obviously want to change everything for our particular project, but it's kind of nice that you can actually now get a real sense of how his tool works. You can just now go through this just like I did with my little demonstration to see how it works using this project dealing with iPads, okay? So fantastic. So everything seems to be working. We can test out our project without having to worry yet about putting it up onto the internet. So this is really great. All right, now what we need to do is start changing the files for our project. All right, let's start that. So we go back to the EQ Web Configurator app and just now go on to the next step. Step number 2, config. And we just have to be patient and read carefully. So we have all kind of options here. In fact, I'm going to scroll through it very quickly just to start to show you. You have all kinds of places where you're going to make some choices. And project name, we're going to change that from my Q project. I'm going to change it to something about alternative medicine. All kind of choices here that we need to make. We have a lot of power over what this thing is going to look like. We have options about the pre-sort and the post-sort. We can also add survey questions, and this has a nice little survey question creator. And indeed, in this particular example, there's all these questions that pertain to his iPad project. Now, most of these questions, in fact, obviously all of them, I don't want in my project, so I'll be deleting all those and adding my own. So that's what I'll be doing in this particular step. All right. Okay, so rather than have you watch me make all the changes, I am just going to pause the video for a second, and I'm going to add all of, or make all of those changes. Then I'm just going to show you what I did. All right, so here we go. All right, I did not change the custom logo footer image, so I just kept this EQ WebSort image there. And again, I've already loaded the config file, so I made these changes. So let me go down. Here's the project name that I gave it, the role of alternative medicine in healthcare in the USA. I'm going to set up my target for Firebase. You can read more about the options that you have there. Shuffle statement cards, I'm going to say false, meaning I don't want this app to do a reshuffling. I'm going to put my statements in a random order to begin with. All right, project access, you have 4 options. I'm just going to tell you that I chose anonymous. I did not change the font options. I didn't change the pre-sort options in terms of colors and so forth. You may want to do that. The sort option step 2, allow unforced sorts. I say false because I want this to be a forced sort. And yeah, I just kind of kept all that the same. The post sort options, and it gives a good explanation of whether or not you want to include the statements in the far 2 ends, if it's like -3 or -4 or -5. If you only have one in those extreme columns, you might want to display cards from the second most positive and second most negative, but I just want the extreme. So I have true for that one and false for the others. Survey options, and you should read this. You can add boldface and underline and things like that using some very basic HTML tags. And do you want to include a survey, true or false? In my case, true. As I come on down, you will see that again, using the survey creator, I made my own little list of questions. All right, so I have here, please enter your name, please enter your age, and also, have you ever used any alternative medicine approaches or therapies on a regular basis? If yes, type those in, otherwise just type no. So those are my changes. So the last step is I have to go and update that config file in that settings folder. So I'm going to click on this button here. Make sure that I am where I think I am. Okay, and there's the config file, dimmed of course, because I'm going to replace it. So I'm going to click Save. Yes, I want to replace it. Okay. Okay, so now let's move on to step number 3, statements. All right, so again, just starting at the top and working my way down, I'm going to load the statements.xml file. Let me go and find that. Make sure I'm in the right place. Yep, so there's the statements file. Let me go ahead and open that. You may have noticed that a moment ago we had statements there for my alternative medicine project, but by loading the statements from, again, the file that we just downloaded, it replaced it with the iPads. So the config app remembered what I did in my previous session. But so what I need to do is enter or paste my new statements. So I'm going to go ahead and select all and get rid of these. And again, I am going to put in my statements from my alternative medicine projects. This is a pretty short step, so I'll just go ahead now and click to save to the settings folder and to replace the statements.xml file. So yep, just again making sure I'm in the right place. I can see statements, so I'm just good. I'm in the right folder. Click save. Yes, I want to replace. Okay, great. So now we move on to map. Okay, so we have 33 statements loaded. Now I have to tell the tool now what's my QSort grid going to look like? What's the map? So first step again is to load the map XML file, so it knows where I am going to be storing these. So again, settings, There's map. Let me launch it. Okay, very good. And I now need to update this. Again, a moment ago it actually had different numbers because it did remember what I was doing previously. But what I need to do is make sure that these are correct. So it turns out they are correct. Very good. Yeah, 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, and then 5s for the middle. All right, very good. So I'm going to go ahead and click here to save the settings. Very good. And yep, that is the right location. And I see map is dim, so I have the right folder. Click save, replace. Okay, good. All right, now we move on to language. So this is where we're going to be putting in all of our different directions and guidance that we want to have during the Q-sort that the participant completes. So again, just read carefully, take your time. And the first step is to load the language.xml file. So let me make sure, again, I'm in the right location. Yep, and there is the language file. Let me go ahead and open that. And as I come on down, you'll see that this is just all of the different text that is going to be given to the participant. This is all about the iPad project. So again, I need to replace all this, well, at least those which I think are not relevant. Maybe some I'll keep for my alternative medicine projects. So I'll do the same thing. I'm going to pause the video. I will make those changes and I will then show it to you. Okay, well, I've made the changes. Let me come on down and show you what I did. Did not change anything here. I like that help me and all that other stuff there about you've completed this step. Landing screen, the role of alternative medicine in healthcare in the USA. And if you read this, you will see that obviously this is all about my alternative medicine web Q-sort. And you'll see, again, I've added some of these little tags, very simple formatting tags in HTML in order to have it look the way I want it to look, italics and boldface and so on. So if you don't know much about that, that's pretty simple to do. You don't have to worry about that, but it adds a nice touch and you can get some help in how to do that. All right, then we have the access control. Well, actually, this is all part of the some of the earlier decisions, the access control. You might have noticed or remember I did anonymous, but you had other choices there. So we're not actually using this access control. We're not using access codes or anything like that. So I didn't make any changes to this. But if you go back to the earlier pages and make other options, you may need to. Okay, so the pre-sort screen, I don't think I made any changes to this. I like the way they had already explained it. Same thing with the sort screen. I don't think I changed anything there. I don't think I changed anything on the post-sort screens. Yeah, very good. So I think these are all pretty much what I kept. Now, obviously, for me, it was somewhat trial and error. So after I go through this, I will then try it out using this little test server that's built into the software. And I might not like it. And then I'd have to go back and make changes. All right, so anyhow, I think that's fine. I'm going to go, again, the last step here is to save this back to the settings folder and making sure that I'm going to replace the language.xml file. All right, I'm in the settings folder. Make sure I'm in the right one. I see language there. Okay, very good. So I'm going to click save and then replace. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to stop here with making changes. And what I want to do to end this video is to do a little test just to see how it all looks. Now you might notice that there are two more important steps, database and upload. Yeah, so database is how to set up a database that's going to be on the internet that is going to be where my data is going to be stored when people are completing my Q-sort. And then the upload step is going to be putting all of these files that I've been changing. In fact, all of the files that go along with the Easy Web Sort app or web app here, I need to make sure I put those up on a web server. Now that's again a separate kind of issue. So we'll have separate videos about those if we need them, but I'm going to just stop there and I want to test out what I've done. So I'm going to go back up to server, and if you recall, I can do a test by again typing this in, this localhost :9990, but again I'll just copy to the clipboard and I'll bring up a blank web page to actually do a little test. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and paste that in and see what we have here. So the role of alternative medicine and healthcare in the USA. So again, you can see my boldface and italics using some of those HTML tags. Makes it look kind of nice. It gives me a nicer feel to it. So as I continue through this, you'll see that there are my statements that I set up. And I won't go through the whole thing, but you can see I can now test this. This is simply being a test off of my computer because the configurator app actually installed a web server on my local computer. So if you don't like what you see, you'd have to make changes by going back to the configurator app and just kind of follow again all those different steps of making the changes and then saving those particular files, whatever they might be, to the settings folder, or I think they were all in the settings folder actually. All right, so with this, I'm going to stop this particular video. I hope this has given you a good overview of how to get started with Shawn Banasick's Easy WebSort tool, a wonderful online resource. And then the next steps will be to create a database, put all this data into, and then to upload all these files to a web server where we can get a link to give to our participants.